Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
Some facts are too convenient for the media to check or retract. Earlier this week, Newsbusters reported that the media hyped a statistic about school shootings that originated from Michael Bloomberg's anti-group, Everytown for Gun Safety. There have been, according to the widely reported stat, 74 school shootings since Sandy Hook. The media dutifully repeated the number until it was debunked, while CNN later retracted and amended their reporting of the questionable count to a much lower number, 15. NBC and ABC did not bother to correct their stories using the statistic.
You are on the firing line with Matt, Joe, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. Wow.
Yeah, big time wow. This is what we've been talking about, though.
No, exactly. This is the same kind of statistics where they make them so high that it's ridiculous. But then when you actually look at it, the specifics of real school shootings, it's actually quite low. Yeah. But is that low? I mean, it's 15. I mean, that's like way too many.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's too
One
low.
is too many.
Right.
Exactly. But, yeah, I mean, of course they're going to spin it up every way. I mean, yeah, it's terrible, but they make it worse, that's for sure.
Yeah. But do they really have to? I mean, it's already astonishing to know that there's 15.
Yeah, no, exactly. Why have to sell more than that? That's already absolutely terrible. That's a good point.
Well, it's ridiculous that the media or journalism today has become such a money-making machine rather than the people that go out and grab the facts and let us choose. I mean, if they're going to win a prize for being best journalist, I don't know what the correct prize, what the word is for the prize. I forget what it is. It's not a Pulitzer. It's
I think it is a Pulitzer.
Okay, then these people should be getting this prize because they were the ones that got down and dirty and did the most work and the most unbiased. They went out and presented it to the public to make the decision, not making the decision for us already. Yeah, and this machine that we see nowadays on CNN, NBC, ABC and stuff like that has gotten out of hand. It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, look back at Vietnam. We have saw where Walter Cronkite stuck his big mouth into it.
Oh, yeah.
And what did we get for that?
Yeah, exactly.
A lifetime of loss.
Yeah, and how many people now are going to repeat the same type of thing, getting involved with it, just for their own, whatever it is. But exactly, I mean, just talking when they shouldn't. It's bad. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. And it's ridiculous that we have to continue to listen to the rhetoric that gun violence is the problem. People are the problem. We need to reel in people. We need to subvert people's free will and freedom to make more laws, to make them more of a slave. But they sugarcoat it in such a way that, hey, you're going to swallow it because that's part of mainstream. That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, this is what everybody wants.
Right.
But is it really?
Well, they falsely sell it as a method to increase safety when that's not really what's ultimately going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's always, quote, public safety why they're doing it. That's the easy way to say it.
Yeah, just a Band-Aid to fix the bigger problem at hand.
Yep. And then this also shows that this Bloomberg Everytown for Gun Safety is just as bad as the Brady campaign. They're willing to lie and manipulate facts to get a point across and to lie to the people to get them to do something when that's not the correct way of doing it. And not only that, it just boils down to, are we that dumb that we're going to follow it or not?
The masses probably are.
Oh, yeah, because it's
But I say that all the time.
Like, can you say we and ye?
Oh, man.
280,000 votes?
No kidding.
But we've brought this stuff to your attention before, and that's why we did it again today. This is stuff that has to be brought up every single time so we can educate ourselves, get the point across, and hopefully there's enough of us out there listening that we can create that domino effect and get it around the world.
And it just doesn't go away just because we're not talking about it. It just doesn't, get corrected because, we didn't mention it this week. But it's always going in that path. to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the out of sight, out of mind for
Yeah.
so many people that they just fall into that rut. Well, I mean, people don't know what's going on right now. I haven't watched the news in a couple days. I mean, people that just, I mean, we'll get into it later, but people that, have no idea what's going on in Iraq right now. And that's one of the examples.
Right. Let alone what's going on in their own own town, in their own state, county, country.
That's just asking way too much.
It is, but we've gotten so complacent in the regular machine that hey, you get up in the morning, you take your shower, you take your kids to school, or if you don't have that, then you go to work or you go exercise, and then you come home, you watch a movie, and you go to bed, or you go out to a club and then go home and go to bed, suffer the next morning. But
Joe goes out to clubs usually.
yeah, I'm a big club hopper. Yep, not. But you guys get the general idea. I'm sure that you out there who are listeners probably agree with us and see it, though, time in, time out. We all even fall into the same rut. And in doing so, where do we find the time to talk with our neighbors and our friends about the issues that are going on?
Yeah.
Where do we find the time to do the research and find the correct medias that will give us the information, give us, these outlets that will give us the proper information to make good decisions?
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing. I thought that's where it starts, like with the friends and neighbors, with your community of people that you're with. That's usually, I think, how word gets around. No matter how reliable it might be, but at least it's enough to pique in curiosity or interest.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, it's always a, hey, did you hear about such and such?
Yeah, and then if you haven't, maybe 50-50, they'll go home and look
Yeah.
at it. Maybe they won't, or who knows.
Right.
So.
Well, those people who don't want to be sucked up into gossip should go out and look.
Yeah.
And after all, it's gossip that's ruling the world now, and it's gotten around the world long before the truth put its pants on.
Hoo-hoo. Boots.
Well, they put the pants on first. So, hey.
Well,
All right, Boots, I stand corrected on the air. I am corrected.
Nice.
Yes, very
Didn't
nice.
even have to interrupt
I
you
feel
for that
very intelligent now.
All right, so other than that, what do we got going today? We're going to talk a little bit about SB 53,
Yes,
the ammunition ban.
that's going to be a story that we really need to bring up.
Yeah.
That'll be the middle story for today. Today we have 3 segments. We've broken it up into 3 segments.
Trifecta. of
Trifecta,
truth.
absolutely. First segment, though, is going to be about Flag Day. That's what today
Yeah,
is,
that's
right?
today. Yeah, the
So-
14th. Yeah.
And along with that, that leads us to the Army's birthday. So that's something that, as part of Flag Day, we're going to bring up. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these things. And if we have time for the third segment, we want to talk about Iraq and some of the cities that have fallen there. I think that that can have a large effect on us, especially since Iraq does contain 10% of the oil that we use, or that the world uses. That's going to affect our economies. What does that say about our president? Of course, we already have a lot to say about our president, especially after last week's show, and so we'll have some interesting stuff to talk about. But let's go ahead and hit up Flag Day, dude.
Flag Day.
And do that.
All right. Do and do
Dude,
that.
and do that.
All right. Well, I'll try and take this here. Today is Flag Day, and we here on the firing line want to pay our homage. So here are some interesting facts. I said flax, like a flag fact. That's what I was getting at. We salute it, sing songs to it, and many of us pledge our allegiance to it daily. And the U.S. government encourages all Americans to pause and pay tribute to the flag on its official holiday, June 14th. In honor of this year's Flag Day, check out some of the things you should know about the Stars and Stripes.
Right on.
The flag's original design remained the same from 1777 to 1795. On June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress, meeting in Philadelphia, passed the Flag Act of 1777.
They did a good job. They passed it for us all the way in the future.
Yes. Back to the future now. A resolution creating an official flag for a new nation still struggling to gain its independence from Britain. It stated in part that America's flag be made of 13 stripes, alternate red and white, that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. And the design pretty much stayed that way for nearly 2 decades. The first significant change came in January 1794, when 2 stars and 2 stripes were added to reflect the recent admissions of Kentucky and Vermont to the Union. So they added the stars and they added the states. That's
Right.
cool. I didn't know that. It was the 15-star, 15-stripe flag that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the poem that later become known as the Star-Spangled Banner. After seeing it fly over Fort McHenry during the War of 1812, in 1818, another design went into effect, permanently setting the number of stripes at 13. 13 stripes were to honor the 13 original colonies, and allowing for new stars to be added help me out here.
Ceremonially?
Yay, ceremonially. Each July 4th should a new state be admitted.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So,
And you know, back to the 13 colonies. Anybody remember Battlestar Galactica?
oh man.
Yeah.
The 13th colony. Sorry, I had to throw that in. I'm a nerd. I can't help it.
But I mean, I knew the 13, but I didn't know that they were adding the two as they went along. That's kind of cool. And then it reserved every 4th of July for a new star. So
Yeah, that was cool,
Yeah,
I
I
thought.
definitely did not know that.
Did you also know that this year marks the 200th anniversary of the Star-Spangled Banner?
Well, blam.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a pretty
Truth
awesome
dart.
song, you know. It really is. You know, when you sit there and you can kind of imagine what he saw there and the fighting that went on and it actually happening. I mean, it's a pretty awesome image.
I'm glad you guys brought that up. To us, that means something, the Star Spangled Banner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we pay respect to that. I went to my son's graduation from 8th grade, and I'm standing there, and they sing the Star Spangled Banner, right? And they also did the Pledge of Allegiance,
Awesome.
God included and everything.
Good.
But right next to me are two younger guys sitting there talking through the whole thing. And I almost wanted to just reach out there, grab one of them, and say, hey, you need to show some respect. You need to show respect because of so many people that have lost their lives, so many people that gave up to allow us to have this. And this is the one thing that helps to unify us all as being an American. And this is what America, you know, this is part of being an American. We do this to show our honor for it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, take that minute to actually listen to it and be quiet, not that minute, we can talk for a minute now.
Right.
You know,
I think that we're losing a lot of that in our younger generation. They don't seem to care anymore. It doesn't mean as much. They've
Right.
been complacent with what they have because, it's always been there. It always will be. It's a sad thing. But onwards.
Onward and upward, as always. All right. The second interesting fact of the American flag of the day. In American history, June 14th isn't just a day to honor the flag. While in 1777, resolution establishing a national flag was the impetus for the national holiday known as Flag Day. That day also holds great significance for the U.S. Army. 2 years earlier, just weeks after the battles of Lexington and Concord kicked off the American Revolution, the Congress formally authorized the enlistment of soldiers to fight in what became known as the Continental Army. So this Friday, remember to wish the U.S. Army a happy birthday. So happy birthday to the U.S. Army. 238 years. And still putting boot to rear.
Right?
Yeah, nice. So let's see what we got going. Why don't you take this one away?
All right. Only one state observes Flag Day as a legal state holiday. It took more than a century after the creation of America's flag for anyone to suggest a holiday to honor it. In 1885, a Wisconsin grade school teacher named Bernard Sigrand held what's believed to be the first recognized Flag Day, which began a lifelong quest to establish a formal holiday. Woodrow Wilson issued a presidential proclamation calling for a June 14th commemoration in 1916, but it wasn't until 1949, 16 years after the death of Sigrand, the father of Flag Day, that Congress passed legislation as a national holiday. It is not, however, a federal holiday. In fact, it's only an official holiday in any capacity to one state. Perhaps fittingly, it's Pennsylvania, where the flag was officially created, and legend holds, though it's wholly unsubstantiated, the local seamstress, Betsy Ross, sewed the original flag. You know what? I'm going to believe it's her. I'm going to have faith in it.
Yeah, me too. I went to Pennsylvania when I was in like the 8th grade for the class tour, and I went to all those cool places, you know, Gettysburg and just all those states. And, you know, I went and saw the old Betty Ross her old stomping grounds, we'll say, and I would like to think that that's the way it is.
And that's what I'm going to
America.
continue to think.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I'm going to teach my kids.
Yeah, boom. For
Boom, there it is. I'm part of that machine.
sure. All right.
All right.
What else we got?
The only casualties of Fort Sumner were flag-related. More than 620,000 Americans lost their life during the Civil War, but only 2 of those fatalities occurred during the first battle of the war, when Confederate forces began a bombardment of Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor in April 12, 1861. Union Commander Major Robert Anderson held out for more than 34 hours before finally surrendering the fort. One of Anderson's conditions for surrendering was that his men be allowed to observe a 100-gun salute as the American flag was lowered from the fort. During the ceremony, a nearby pile of rifle cartridges exploded, killing 2 soldiers, the first fatalities of the war, and injuring 4 others. Anderson carried the flag, badly damaged during the bombardment, to the north where it was frequently displayed to boost morale. 4 years to the day after Anderson's surrender, he once again raised the flag over Sumter after the Union had recaptured the fort. Just a few hours later, Abraham Lincoln would be fatally shot by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theater.
Wow. It's kind of crazy how history all kind of combines into that one little time right there, huh?
Yep. There are specific colors used to create the flag. It's the Textile Color Card Association of the United States that creates the palette of colors used for both private and public institutions, and the U.S. Army that issues a reference guide of acceptable shades to be used in a local, state, and national flags. So if you're trying to produce a truly authentic American flag, you'll need to use the exact shades of white, Old Glory red, and Old Glory blue, specified in the guide. Although mass market flag manufacturers have been known to fudge a bit and use the more easily processed Pantone matching shades of dark red and navy blue.
So basically, there's kind of they adhere to a standard, for the flag. And obviously, if you buy a $6 cheapo flag, it's just going to be red, blue, and white. Red, white, and blue.
Right.
Which are the correct colors, but when you break it down, no, it needs to be these. This one red, this one.
There's
so.
Hey, I'll tell you something that's not in this too. Did you know that when you have a flag and you take it down because it's tattered and stuff like that? Number one, of course, we all know it's not supposed to hit the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it so?
Number two, you cannot throw it away.
That's what I thought.
It has to be, you can pay and have it discarded in a proper process. There's a ceremony for it and everything else.
Well,
it's either that or you have it hemmed up and you save it for, for a shadow box or for ceremonies
Who
and
would
stuff
really
like that.
throw a flag away? I mean,
Unpatriotic nincompoops.
You go to throw something away and you see a flag in there. Yikes!
Yeah, that'd be scary.
Yeah, that'd be setting up surveillance.
You'd have to take that thing out and try to do something about it.
Yep.
All right. Gosh.
Cool. So
You know what? We've only got...
I think we should get into the break situation.
although we've got only number 6 and we're done with the flag part.
Let's finish the
Here, I'll
flag
cruise
story.
through number 6 for you
All right.
guys.
And we'll get on.
If early politicians had their way, you would see a lot less of the American flag. While the battle over perceived desecration of the flag remains a hot-button issue today, some of the first anti-desecration measures had little to do with flag burning or other destructive measures. In fact, 19th century lawmakers were more concerned about the already rampant use of the flag as a promotional tool by advertisers, which they considered threatening the banner with contempt. Many of the first statutes passed by state and local governments aimed to restrict the use of the flag's image on commercial products. And then in 1907, the Supreme Court upheld these laws in the case of Halter versus Nebraska, and many of them remain on the books today.
Wow. So, I mean, it's kind of like when you see something that's made in the USA and they have the flag on it. I've always liked that when I buy stuff. It's better than seeing the alternative.
Hey, I don't think that our country should be sold out so easily that we should use it as a commercial ploy.
No, definitely not.
All right, on that note, we should take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Senate Bill 53 right here out of California, introduced by Senator De Leon. And, of course, don't forget the original writer of the bill, Senator Leland Yee. We'll be right back with you on the Firing Line.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the Information Station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the Firing Line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies in stock.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Now a great word from Santa Maria Motorcycles, formerly Santa Maria Harley-Davidson, located at 2022 Prescott Lane. They are dealers for Honda, Kawasaki, and Harley-Davidson. Grab your family and go see the museum, filled with exciting older bikes that you won't see anywhere else on the Central Coast. As well, they are the #1 motorcycle dealer on the Central Coast with the largest inventory around. Go in and see Martin Buchanan, or you can give him a call at 805-928-3668. You can also go visit them every first Thursday of the month for Bike Night. Starts at 6 p.m. Have a great time with your family at Santa Maria Motorcycles.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable! Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440. That's right, we're back on the Firing Line, and looks like we got a little thing to talk about here, something that's making our blood boil. SB 53. That's the ammunition purchase ban, and it's obviously no bueno, doesn't make a whole lot of sense as usual, and with the two people that are pushing this, being Leland Yee and the ghost gun guy, De Leon, I think it should be interesting. What do you think, Kanon?
Well, as a general summary of the bill itself, I mean, I think you covered it, but it seems to pick out every single option for purchasing an ammunition, and just the same as they're trying to regulate every single part about purchasing a handgun, they're going to do the same with an ammunition. You have to get a background check in order to purchase. You can't purchase online anymore, so you have to do it in person, which means that the current limit and or what do you call it, I can't even think of the word. There isn't a lot of ammunition currently in the stores, so it's going to be even worse when you actually pass this.
God, we're going to have such a run on ammunition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and online is a place where people who shoot a lot can go to save on bulk ammo.
Right.
It sucks, because everybody, some people maybe a box a month, that's all you need. Some people who shoot more, maybe they need 2 boxes. Some people might need 10, just depending.
I could shoot 1,000 rounds in one shoot.
Well, exactly.
If I'm doing a lot of drills and stuff.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm sure we've gotten pretty close to doing that a few times. But I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me here, because different people are going to have different needs. The people who aren't supposed to have the ammo are still going to be able to get shipments from Mexico or whatever, from cartels full of AKs, whatever. So it's just, I guess to me, I see it as just them wanting to know who's got ammo, or is that too tinfoil?
No, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I think they're going to look at if we can stop giving them ammunition to fire their handguns, they're not going to be able to fire their handguns, making them completely useless.
Well, here's another thing too. They want responsible gun owners, right?
Well, they got them.
If not responsible, then none.
Right.
Okay. Well, if you're a responsible gun owner, you will practice.
Yeah.
And you will practice all the time so that it becomes muscle memory. Maybe not 1,000 rounds. Maybe only 100 rounds a
maybe you
week.
shoot a box.
Or every other week to be proficient and stay proficient with your firearm. They're not taking all this stuff into thought on this because they don't have a clue what it is to be a firearms owner.
Exactly. They just see, you can go to a store and buy a box of ammunition. 50 rounds is probably what they're thinking. Holy smokes, that's a lot.
That's a lot since your magazine can only hold 10.
Well, the fact that you have to put it in 5 magazines is ridiculous. Yeah, but it's not a lot. That's something
not.
you go through that in a couple minutes. I mean, maybe 10, 15, 20, but not a whole lot. And for them, you're totally right though, Joe, about how they just don't know. They're on the outside looking in and they don't even know what they're watching.
Right. It's like some people will say because they've never seen a gun, never held a gun, and all they hear is about the violence on TV, right? So they hear you've got 50 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's going to kill
That's so
50
many.
innocent people.
He's going to kill 50 innocent people, exactly. One knuckle dragging on the ground, the other one with his gun in his hand. You know? Gee, Minnie. This is
that's
ignorance
exactly right.
at its worst or best. I don't know. Depends on which side of the coin you're on.
Yeah, either way, it's not good. So, I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Is there any, what other pertinence are there about this bill here?
Well, Joe, you had added on to the show notes of a mathematical equation of how difficult this would be to actually impose and to mandate by the states and or the federal government.
Right.
So they're estimating about 19 million people own guns, where it's saying that it's actually around 10 million. I actually did the numbers on both of them before I came in today. So I'm going to go with the 10 million number because it's still completely outrageous. So if you have 10 million people.
And that's just here in California, right?
Yes.
10 million gun owners.
10 million gun owners who need to get a permit in order to purchase ammunition from a licensed ammunition dealer over 1 year. In that first year, so over 12 months, or I divided 10 million by 12 months, it came to 833,333 permits in a month.
In a
Now,
month.
Now, if I divided that amongst day by day, since it's probably going to be more than that. So I divided by 30 days on average. 27,777 individuals seeking an ammunition permit in a day. And we're going to expect that the government's going to be able to fulfill that need.
Exactly, and 27 is kind of the low ball here. So
yeah, that's the low ball.
Easily 30,000 a day. I mean, the DMV.
Yeah. How many people do you think it's going to take to fill the job to push all those through in that day? Then, what is the salary going to be for each one of those people?
Yeah.
Then, on top of that, the fees... that they're going to have to charge, none of this makes sense fiscally.
Enforcement fees, it's 100% ridiculous.
Yeah.
And either way, you're still going to be able to buy bullets. Again, people that shouldn't have them are still going to have them. Mm-hmm. And this is just going to hinder, it's going to hinder, okay, let's just take it here and say there's the cop who wants to go and train once a week by himself. Maybe the department doesn't provide enough ammo or whatever it is. The guy wants to go train. So let's say he shoots 200 rounds a week to train. And now they're going to have to put this on a police officer just to get training. It's just one more hurdle for good people to go through.
It's another piece of regulation to just impose for the sake of imposing more rules.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, look, it's by Leland Yee. That guy just gets it out there.
Here's the thing.
He's so
Leland
responsible.
Yee, the guy, he's no longer on it. They scratched his name off the bill.
Yeah, but De Leon's not really any better.
But he's
not.
the brainchild.
Yeah.
But Leland Yee at least got caught, right? Trying to, work with shoulder-fired missiles and fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
But think of, God, I lost my train of thought. I had a good point that I wanted to come up with. Okay, somebody else take away. Let me think for a second and see if I can regain this thought.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's just those numbers are crazy. By the way,
they're absolutely ridiculous.
Because you hear 10 million and it's like, wow, that's a lot. But when you hear 30,000 per day.
Per day, and that's 25% of our city's population right now.
Right.
So over 4 days, our entire city's population is going to go into a government office to seek a permit for ammunition.
Now think of this. Pasadena, I got my thought back, by the way. Pasadena tried to pass an ordinance, a city ordinance similar to this, okay, where the different gun places that sold ammunition had to keep track and get thumbprints, get driver's licenses of all the people that bought ammunition. The police had to come around and collect this information, and it was kept on record. They stopped doing it because it wasn't the cost was outrageous. They couldn't continue to do it, and they didn't have the manpower to do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Why don't these people go around and look at the micros of what's going on and see for real?
Yeah, no, that's...
Like, if you look at their big picture and what, like, every town for gun safety and the Brady campaign and Mothers Demand Action, their end goal is to stop gun ownership in America. So however they can go about doing that as an inconvenience or as,
it justifies the means.
Exactly. It absolutely justifies the means, because in the end they are sold on the idea that this will stop mass shootings. This will stop gun violence. And you can't change their mind about it.
Yeah, and they do not want to stop and take a look at the truth behind it. These are not the laws that are going to stop these kind of things. We need things in mental health. We need programs funded in mental health that will allow our officers, or allow maybe not the officers, but the mental institutions, or allow the what do you call it? The people that you go to, the doctors that you go to see psychiatrists. Thank you. To do more for their patients. Because they don't have the venues or don't have the resources, a lot of these people get put to the side. I'll give you a good example. We just had, almost 5 years ago, a young kid that hatcheted a man's head off here in town.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
He is now going to be released within just a few years because he's made a miraculous recovery, supposedly.
Yeah. Well,
I can guarantee you a lot of that has to do with the simple fact they can't store him anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the same. David Addius, a guy 10 years ago or so, who drove a car down in Isla Vista and killed a bunch of people. Yeah. He just got out. He got out months ago.
Think if he was actually criminally convicted, he'd still be in prison.
Yeah, he was 7 homicides.
Well, even if you look at the people who are using guns to commit crimes that are criminally convicted, not just the mental health. I mean, we're not even holding them accountable for their crimes.
Yeah.
We're letting them out as well because we can't hold them.
That is a huge part of the problem here. We are...
Especially in California. I mean, that's like, Governor Brown is basically just handing the keys out to these guys and just saying, all right, just whenever you're ready, come on out. You're good.
Yeah.
And
how can this keep on going? How can we continue to make so many laws that we lock up so many people that take away room from the actual people that need to be locked up?
Right. Right, yeah, when you have a bunch of petty stuff in there or whatever, it's, something that might be able to fix with a program or whatever, and then you have people like, people that have killed folks.
Right.
Getting out because they're, quote, better, or they, obviously that's not true. They don't have room because they need to house these other individuals to make more money, to get more housing, no.
And then the cycle.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the cycle of it.
I'm sorry.
Without actually fixing the problem.
No.
You commit murder, premeditated especially.
Yeah.
Manslaughter is going to be a little bit different, but premeditated, or even second degree, first degree murder. These people are people, if they are proven to have done this, you have to really decide and take a stance. Should there be capital punishment? Should we be able to solve the problem by fitting the crime with the punishment?
Right. And that's obviously probably a whole nother touchy subject, I mean, but...
Very touchy.
It's something... But you're right. It's something we have to ask ourselves, especially on this type of thing, I mean, if somebody's murdering, and I use the word murdering in the right way, not, and they're first-degree murder, then do we really want those folks back in our society after they've done this 3 or 4 times? No. I don't think so.
And you know what? You know what it takes to stop all this stuff from happening? Programs that work with families to make families stronger units, not dissecting the family apart and trying to put out communist or socialistic ideas into families and doing all this other stuff. And then we need the programs that will institute better programs for the mental institutions so that the people that need help can actually get some help.
Yeah, make it feasible.
Right. That way we can stop these people from going out murdering people and doing mass killings, or at least minimize it from 15, didn't we say we had, for schools? Maybe down to 2 or 3. Granted, not
Right.
even one is
Not one-
acceptable.
Exactly, but
But-
I mean, if you can make progress is progress. Either way you cut it, you know. I mean,
And as we all know, a well-armed society is a very peaceful society. So that
Yes.
does make progress
she
by
said it.
owning
That was
handguns.
like the thing we posted up on our Facebook page that said America is ranked number 4 as the worst in the country.
Oh, yeah.
but
you
you
take
take
out
Chicago and Detroit.
Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
We
the
are-
fourth from the bottom.
Right. Hello.
So yeah, it's 4 major populations that are
Bloomberg, choke
infecting
on
it.
that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh,
But after all, Obama says our world is getting peaceful.
Yeah, that's what Obama says. Okay.
oh, let's see. We might even have to just go there.
Well, I think that the last story that you have talking about ISIS moving into Iraq kind of is a good example of how it's
Yeah.
not getting peaceful.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Pretty clearly.
I'm telling you, it's all Bush's problem. It's Bush's fault. I think we should send Bush over there and let him fix this problem.
Yeah, in one way or another.
That way we can blame it on him if it doesn't get fixed.
At least his namesake, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Exactly.
All right, we'll be right back with you on the firing line to talk about exactly that, ISIS. And I'm not talking about the Egyptian goddess.
Nice.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local
The
ladies.
store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Boy, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the local Santa Maria area, please give us a call at 928-1440.
All right, as we promised you, we were going to come back and we were going to talk about ISIS, which is an offshoot of Al-Qaeda. As a matter of fact, it's such a violent offshoot that Al-Qaeda doesn't even like to claim them.
I know, what does that say?
Right.
But either way you shake it, terrorists, schmears, they're all the same game to me.
I think that a lot of us who do keep up with the news have heard that ISIS has come into a few towns in Iraq and are quickly on their way to Baghdad, and they want to take over what's going on in Iraq.
And they've been doing a pretty good job the past few days.
Absolutely.
They really have no reservations about any violence or
course they
means to
don't.
get what they have. So
When have they
it's
ever
not
had
surprising.
reservations?
They're terrorists. Come on.
Yeah, America.
what is it? It's Mosul, right?
Mosul.
Yeah, Mosul.
Thank you. God, I keep saying it wrong. Mosul, which was one of the places that they first took over. You notice they robbed a bank over there and got a lot of money.
For the $420 million, they're like the best funded terrorists.
Absolutely. And one of the most extreme.
Yeah.
Okay, on top of that, they've gotten now Jeeps, weapons.
Armored vehicles.
Yes, that our guys
aircraft,
left there for those guys.
Armor.
I'm not so worried about the aircraft. I don't think a single one of them can fly one except into a building.
Well, we trained a lot of people to do a lot of things over there.
That's true. And we hear reports about the police stations where the police are running or leaving the city, as well as soldiers and stuff like that. And we wonder, how could this even happen? How could this have happened? Well, I think there's only really one place to look, and that's our president on this. Our president who announced when our withdrawal was, our president who actually did withdraw and allowed this to happen. This is, it's a terrible thing, and so many of our young boys over there and men have died fighting to gain control of these cities, only to have it turned back over to these bad guys who are going to use it as a point of operations to go into Syria and fight in other places. And it's, it just angers me so much. And I wanted to get that point out, that it angers me. And I'm sure that out there's a lot of you out there that are angered by this too.
Was it, I mean, we all kind of knew in the back of our minds probably that once we withdrew, I mean, it wasn't going to be all peachy keen over there, you know?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't going to get any easier, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I think it sucks. It's terrible, though, to see, like you were saying, Joe, that so many American and coalition guys stuck it out there, you know, to make that place better for the own people to flee at the first sign of danger.
And we wonder why they flee. You got to figure ISIS is Shiite, I believe.
It's the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria.
Right.
Yeah.
But their religious groups, I believe, are Shiite more than anything.
It's a Shiite Muslim
And when they took over this city, which is like some 2 million or 8 million people, a lot of the people there are Shiite. Shiites do not want to fight Shiites.
No, they'll go with the flow.
So that's why they're going to run. And granted, some of them are leaving town because they don't want to be associated with collaborating with the enemy, because they don't want their heads cut off, as ISIS has been going around doing, cutting a lot of people's heads off, as they are such a brutal
intimidation tactic
terrorist group. These terrorists, not insurgents, but terrorists, are absolutely ridiculous. And it's come down to the point now, what do? We don't necessarily want to send more bodies in there. Why have our boys lose lives and fight to regain all this ground?
Fight the same fight again.
And then here we have, they're telling us we're going to take more cities. We're going to go straight into Baghdad, which is going to unravel everything that we fought for.
Well, I mean, Saddam was pretty bad, obviously, but what is it going to be like? You know, I mean, we already have basically Taliban and terrorists running Afghanistan, and now if we have terrorists running Iraq, now they have two major infrastructures.
They're going to try to unite the whole Middle East to their own thing. You can guarantee this is just a domino effect. Yeah. The dominoes are going to fall, and where they fall, we're not going to like it. And this is going to have huge effects on our oil, the economy, and everything else that's happening. The U.S. has an interest in this. And people out there, I've heard people say, oil companies bad, oil this bad. But the truth of the matter is everything we have, everything we do, is we need oil.
Yeah,
you need oil to run your roads. You need oils to make your roads. You need oil for your vehicles. You need oil to make your foods. You need oil to do almost everything we do in society. You cannot just walk away from it. You can minimize it, but you cannot walk away from it.
It's what fuels our economy and our society.
No pun intended.
Yeah, good one. But what I'm actually kind of wondering is that Obama said that he was thinking about making a decision, but hadn't made one yet. But can we really just sit around and watch this all unravel without any opposition?
Well, he can. Yeah.
And it's quite obvious. That's why he sent Bush over there. And when we say that, he has actually just sent
the USS.
The U.S. carrier.
Bush over
actually,
there.
CVN George Bush, carrier vessel nuclear.
Well, what's he going to be able to do with that? Okay. Well, we're talking about guerrilla warfare. You can't go in and bomb the city. It's not like bombing an aspirin factory like Clinton did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it basically just it puts the U.S. presence there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not going to solve any major problems. You know, I mean,
what's the U.S. president say anymore? Hey, we'll trade 5 guys for your 1.
oh, here come the negotiators in the U.S.
Yeah.
George Bush.
Who cares if the Americans are off the shore? I'm going fishing, and then I'm going to go back and pick up my rifle and have some war.
Well, I don't think that we pose any not necessarily opposition, but we don't pose any kind of threat to what they're doing. I mean, we don't have any. I'm going to go off on. I would say that we're a strong country under the leadership of Obama. Just is not a reality.
No, and you know what? What could be the one outcome if these guys do unite a lot of these countries over there to become an Islamist conglomerate?
Well, I don't know. Hitler united a lot of people. Look what happened there.
What do you think is going to happen over there? Where do you think the lives are going to get lost? This point was brought up by a friend of mine that we were talking about this before the show at the shop. Israel.
That's the first thing I was thinking when you said other countries there. I was thinking, well, they might get a whole bunch, and then they're going to have a big standoff with Israel. Right.
Guarantee you, Israel will probably turn that place into a glass factory.
Well, I think they've already said that they'll defend themselves.
Oh, heck yeah.
They're not going to sit back and take it.
And they have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, too, because we have Iran saying that if America goes in to help liberate Iraq again, they will help us. Hello?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of scams written on that. But you know what? The problem is our president today, in my opinion, is the kind of guy that will go along with something like this. And then when it comes to the Israelis defending themselves, he'll be like, no, you can't do this. And he'll gain public support. No, we can't do this. You guys are bad if you go and you nuke them or do something. When they're going to have no choice.
Yeah.
The next war is not going to be a 7-day war with tanks. I'm sorry. It's going to be with missiles. And it's not going to be the kind of missiles we wanted to see go off over there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's... You know, this. I hope it doesn't happen, but like you're saying, it's getting ugly. If Iraq falls, who's to say what's next? Obviously, they're just getting stronger. If they're robbing banks and getting hundreds of millions of dollars, and if they're going through cities, they're no doubt recruiting more people.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the wave's only getting bigger, unfortunately.
And they can route them straight back to the large city that we heard about the other day that fell, and straight into Syria and back the Syrian rebels or the Syrian militant, or even start their own faction. I mean, there's so much that can happen.
Lots of effects, absolutely.
It's scary. I don't know what we're going to do about it, and I know that it's going to affect us all here at home. I'm glad, though, in a sense that it's, a lot of us, we hated the idea that, or there are a lot of people, let me restate that hated the idea that we ever went to Iraq in the first place. But I still am thankful that the battle was there and not here on American soil.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that's the truth of what would happen.
Exactly, and that's people get so wrapped up in the WMDs and stuff like that. Well, where were they? And that what you just said is the point. Was initially we were there to stop further attacks on the homeland. I think we did that.
Right.
I mean, we were proven. We caught all kinds of people, even if we're giving them away now. But we caught all kinds of people at the time that were about to do something bad. So I mean, we were on the path.
Yep, unbelievable. Sorry that's such a way to end today's show and with such a note like that, but we've got a lot more still to talk about, but it's just something that gets me so riled up. There's so many decisions happening through our administration, and not taking responsibility is one of the biggest ones. From Benghazi to the IRS to the vets to this to Bergdahl.
Oh, I mean, it piles
up. And the free pass is just straight on through. Here's your skates. We'll help push you through.
Yep. $200,
pass go. Yeah, exactly.
It's a shame. I don't know when it's going to change, if it's going to change, but I hope it does.
I wish that I had something good to say about our American president, but I honestly cannot see anything. I honestly cannot come up with anything that I feel that he has done to benefit this country and make it a stronger, better place for our future, for our kids, for us, for anything. And do you guys, can you think of anything at all?
Obamacare doesn't count.
That's it, you're fired. Get off the show, pack up your stuff. You got 5 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I'm trying to think of something positive, and I really can't. I mean, I'm sure maybe under something he might have done something, but nothing comes to my mind right now.
But I wouldn't say it was a direct effect from a policy that he put into place.
No, but it was something that he had his...
Because he does none?
He had his finger in the pie. That's for sure.
He had his hand in the pie?
Yeah, his finger.
Well, with a couple more years before we get a vote again, I mean, our options, I think, will still be limited if Hillary runs. I don't think it'll get much better.
Man, why you gotta say it? It's so true, though. Like, that's what we have to look forward to, really.
How can a person part of Watergate that got fired for lying, for fraud, and everything else be a part of what's going on now and then possibly become our next American president?
I'm not a criminal.
That was like forever ago, Joe. Quit living in the past.
Dang, do you work for the Clinton administration?
No, I'm just using their same rhetoric. Come on.
It's the truth, though. That will be
but
brought
it
up.
is, though.
And
right.
And not only are they going to say that, but they're going to say I'm a hater of women.
Exactly. You are supporting the war on women because you do not agree with what Hillary says.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. That's so true.
It's the same thing with President Barack Obama.
You're a racist if you don't agree with what he says,
right.
what he does.
Dang. And those are some heavy allegations just because you don't agree with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It can't be based on what they do. It has to be based on their color.
It sounds like we got more divide from this president than we did unity. And that's the shame. We were on a track for a little bit of unity. I honestly believe that I started seeing less of it. And I've lived in Texas where, hey, I had a friend that was a keeper of the grounds at the apartments that I lived in. And he literally at nighttime did not want to go out very much because he was afraid of how people would treat him. You know, he'd come over and he'd hang out with us and have dinner and stuff like that. And it was amazing some of the things I had to hear. But we've seen things wind down from what they were at another time.
Yes.
You know, you go back to the 60s, the 50s, and then past that even further.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see the extremities have gotten less. Yes, there are pockets of resistance around, but it's up to us and our children and everything else to make the change.
Yeah.
And it has been changing.
And that's a good...
But
we've came a long way.
Yes, but now we look at today, and the division is being reignited.
By the people who say that we shouldn't be divisive.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy, but it's true. I mean, I've definitely seen it. You know, at least the other guy, you know, George Bush, kind of at least was trying to get people banded together more, and that did happen, whether it was through tragedy or war or whatever. But it did happen. America was strong there for a few years.
It's the loudest mouth or the squeakiest
Squeaky
wheel.
wheel, yeah.
You know, think of this back in Abraham Lincoln, when they tried to pass and get it voted so that the African American, or let's just say the black man was free, when they wanted him to be free, who was the loudest voice and the opposition to that? It's the party we fight today. It was the Democrats. Go back and look it up. That's part of our history. When we go into to write civil rights, who fought civil rights?
Yeah.
It was the Democrats.
Yeah.
Over and over again, but you know they're the ones that are doing they're doing the right thing over there. The Republicans are the bad guys.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Well, the policies they try to put in place as well are good for everybody else, but not for them.
Well, of course.
So.
Of course.
Dirty commies.
For sure. I second the notion.
I do too. I third it.
Oh man! So when is AB going to? When are they going to do that? The ammunition ban? Do we know when?
Well, you know, it just passed. I don't.
It just passed committee, so they can vote on it. But I'm not certain when they're going to vote on it.
So it's got a ways to go. From what I understand, it would be 2016 if it actually passed all the way up through.
Which is too soon.
Very too soon. We do have hope, though, that Jerry Brown will write it off and or not sign it at all.
Yeah,
didn't they already stop this before?
Well, they put it on hold. Very similar one that I think they said they needed to look into it. Basically,
they had put it on hold with when all the other bills were going through, and they approached it and have re-amended it a few times and brought it back up. So that's what we're going through. I think we will see it go by the wayside, though. If it's not by Jerry Brown, definitely by the court system before the law even takes place. Yeah. Just like AB 962.
Yeah, like we see exactly where a judge sees what's happening and says, hey, this is unconstitutional. Not in my house, buddy.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Who's going to stop me from going across the state line and buying my 1,000 rounds?
Well, that might be what we have to do. Yay, trip to Nevada.
Oh, yeah, now I'm a criminal.
Oh, man. That's not what I meant.
But that's what they're going to do is make us into
and that's
criminals.
another thing. Yeah, of course they want to do that because then they can get the people into the prisons and get that revolving again.
That's
You
right.
see this vicious circle, people? This is hoosh.
All right.
Cool, so,
It's
yeah.
been another weekend on the firing line with Matt, Kanani, and Joe today, and Jim. We thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back with you next weekend.